It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Linda Baas McClelland.
And this is
It's Movie Time!
Linda, one of the reasons I have you here, not only because you're such a fine reviewer, but also because I need somebody with an interior design orientation with the film we're going to discuss, which is called The Congress, starring Robin Wright.
Right.
Now, I say this because there's so much going on, visually and intellectually, that I need someone who's able to take all the details, which you are just the best at, watching everything that goes on, and then putting it together thematically, which you do for homes that you redesign. You kind of integrate everything into a beautiful design. What's this all about?
I don't know. I was going to say, because I work with structure, so this is, there's very little structure to it, although I think it's brilliant. It's the first of its kind. It's a mind-blowing, I think it's an experiment in live action and animation blended together. I have advice for the film goer. You have to have a pre-film martini to help this movie go down a little smoother, because there's a lot of things that you can't explain.
Well, the director, Ari Folman, who did a few years ago the wonderful Waltz with Bashir, which was all animation, but a kind of capture animation that had both a realistic look to it, but it was all animation. So he's here experimenting with us again. Robin Wright plays a version of herself. 44-year-old actress, out of work. In the current case of Robin Wright, of course she's not. She's really at a peak in her career, the Netflix House of Cards and films that she's in. So, but in reality, most actresses who get to be middle-aged have to face this problem. They need work. They want work. And the studio offers them?
In this case, it's something very bizarre. First of all, I want to say it opens with a scene of a red kite flying very close to the fence of the Los Angeles airport, which I will get back to later, and I have a question for you about that. But she lives in this redesigned hangar, and of course Harvey Keitel and the studio boss, and I love the name of the studio, Miramount. The boss is played brilliantly by Danny Houston.
And Danny Houston is oilier than ever.
Oh, oily. And they talk her into taking part in a brand new technology. A computer scans her entire body, turning her into a forever young avatar. And she basically signs her life away. She receives a huge amount of money for doing this. And her very essence will be a computer-generated essence.
Sure.
And they can put it into whatever film they choose.
Sure. And so the Congress of the title is the futurologists who are getting together in the 20 years that she has been involved in this contract that she has made. And they're going to be deciding, or she is going to be deciding with them, the future of her contract, that is, after these 2 decades. And in effect, they're talking about her future and about her profession. So I love the allegorical implications of this, the question about how much control any performer or any professional has over his or her own professional activity. And in this case, there's so much going on now that's digitized. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, definitely. I mean, even in live action movies, it's hard to tell what's CGI and how the bodies of the actors and actresses have been altered by the computer, because you'll see pictures of them in a magazine or on television. They didn't look like that in the movie. So it's already happening, but this is really, I think, taking a jab at the future of the film industry, where more and more control, they will have more and more control over the people that are in the movies.
And I think by implication, the kind of control any of us will have when you consider the workplace and how much the middle class has suffered lately, and how out of control, or lack of control, it has over its ability to make money and make a life, and how dominant corporations are becoming. This is really, this is really good allegorical stuff.
Right.
Now, going into the past, Linda, for me, there's a real commentary here on the 1930s and 40s Hollywood system, where, as you all know, stars belonged to Paramount, not Paramount, but
Right,
Paramount
right.
or MGM.
That's true.
And they were allowed to be loaned to a film if the studio decided they wanted to or not. But they're very, very much relegated to what the studio wanted them to do. So it's kind of a throwback, and I think a nice look at how independent our film actors and even our directors never have become.
Right.
But how much now with the emphasis on blockbusters, how much less control the small and independents will
Right.
have.
That's a good point. I didn't realize.
Yeah,
That.
and
That's very good.
and so where are you going to sell out? You know, are you going to go to B movies and C movies? Or are you going to let yourself be digitized so that you're out of work for 20 years? This is a tough one.
Right. But I think it also is a something talking about the general public, because more and more people have plastic surgery. They try to alter their
great.
appearance. They take drugs to change how they feel about things. Sleeping pills, antidepressants.
Wonderful, because there's a large part of this film that has to do with the pharmaceutical industry. Because as we go on in her life, as it moves in toward animation, it appears that everybody's on drugs.
Right.
And
You take an ampule and then all of a sudden you're a cartoon. The thing that bothered me about this movie is there was no explanation what she was doing for the 20 years between when she signed the contract and when she goes to the Congress,
Yes.
which turns out to be an animated, almost like a Las Vegas style, high-rise hotel. To me, that's what it looked like.
And that's, you know, that's part of the point, I think, that really, well, kind of discomforts me, is not knowing what's going on in there and then moving so easily into the psychedelic cartoonish world.
Right.
And I don't need to have everything explained,
No.
but I think that there's some kind of a lack of symmetry in all of this that leaves me...
Right. Symmetry, that's a design word.
Yeah, that's right, okay. That kind of leaves me wondering. Now, let me tell you, I enjoy this kind of quandary. I mean, I enjoy the fact that I might have to go back to this movie.
Right. I think I would like to do that too.
I know it, because I have a lot of confidence in this brilliant director, and I think Robin Wright has finally made a good choice in her life.
Yeah.
And some of this is about, as Harvey Keitel, her agent tells us, she's made very bad decisions in movies in her life, and this is a time to make a decision that will set her up for the rest of her life.
Right.
So she's made some bad... So this, you know, is she looking at a good one to take this? Okay. I mean, she has other issues, doesn't she, in her life?
Well, her son has
Yes.
hearing problems, definitely.
Yeah, I
And
mean, he's
maybe
going
sight.
deaf.
Yeah, he's going deaf. And so that was one of my questions. She loves her daughter and her son so much. Why did she choose to leave them by going to the Congress? That didn't make any sense to me.
Well, it made sense to me only in the fact that her contract was up. And therefore,
Oh, okay.
and she had to renegotiate it with the Congress.
I see.
And so they're looking at her future. And, you know, I really love the setup of their home. Remember at the beginning?
Yeah, it was right. It was like a redesigned airplane hangar.
Right on the edge of an airport.
Yeah, and the little boy gets in trouble because he flies this beautiful red kite
Yes.
too close to the fence, and then the airport security comes out because it's getting very close to the runway. Was the red kite a metaphor for how much control we have over our life, or how little control we have over our life? Because, of course, the kite would just kind of take off and go wherever it wanted to go. And it was a beautiful sight because the kite kept reappearing throughout the film.
Yes, it's a motif. And I was afraid you'd ask me that. But I think you're on where I am, which is there's something free-floating about that kite.
Free floating, that's what,
and therefore something, you know, metaphorical about it, and the control, how little control they have, and how close they come, like to the airplanes and so on, and how the world is going to pull them back, and yeah, so, and plus the fact that it's red, which is always a sign of danger or passion or fire or so on. It's really pretty. It's pretty neat, but it isn't definitive. I think it floats through there like so much else.
Floating, everything's floating through it's freaking me out, the floating. I couldn't understand what was going on in the huge convention scene, in the cartoon part of it. But it was curious fun for me to try and recognize all the cartoon characters
Oh, I know.
at the Congress. You see movie stars, public figures,
I know.
John Hamm, one of my favorites.
Well, my favorite there is Tom Cruise.
Oh, yes,
With
the
all the
shiny
teeth.
But there's even Frida Kahlo, the
Yes,
artist.
the artist,
and of course, Jesus Christ himself.
Yes.
That was
They're all
fascinating.
right. They're all characters who come in and
Right.
out of this scene. And again, you need to go back to get that context and maybe to put that all together. But it is visually beautiful.
Yes, it is.
And if you take it for that, and if you can see a little bit here about how Robin Wright appears, this a little bit strange. I'm not even sure we see that one there, but this one you can see in the cartoon element. It's really rather beautiful. And here's Elvis. We were talking about
Elvis.
right.
Yes, it's like finding Waldo, and there's so many people in the cartoon world. But let's see.
Well.
Oh, back to the kite. It just kept appearing, and I thought this has something to do with all the, like you said, free flow.
Oh yeah. Well, Linda.
Yes,
I
Dr.
think
DeSando.
we could really deconstruct this film forever and perhaps come to no conclusion. But one thing we do know we have to do.
Yes, we have to give it a grade.
Right. So the film is The Congress. It stars Robin Wright doing a version of herself. And Linda Baas McClelland, what grade do you award this film?
I give it a B because it was so innovative, but left so many things unexplained. And I think I needed a martini when I left the film, too.
And I'm right with you. I'm a solid B on this one. It's just a bit too confusing for me to give it an A, but I think those who love science fiction, and we've had some good stuff come up in the last few months, will enjoy struggling and visually being pleased by a film that has many possible themes.
Right. And film students would probably really enjoy this because maybe future films, you will become mentally internalized into the movie itself.
Very
So